Lamar Jackson may be the most talented, most exciting player from a unique package standpoint that we've seen since Michael Vick. Did you see what he did last night? Now, granted, the play did not count because it got called back on a flag, but everyone saw what happened. And it was very reminiscent of the play when he was in college at Louisville against Syracuse that eventually catapulted his Heisman campaign and led him to taking home the hardware. He jumped over a dude. First, he juked a dude, then he jumped over a dude and scored a touchdown. Again, it got called back, but nonetheless, the athleticism that he displays on a regular basis is ridiculous. And again, I believe he's the most exciting player we've had in this league since Michael Vick. Here's a problem, though. Y'all won't let Lamar Jackson live. When the conversation about Lamar Jackson is had, so many people want to talk about, well, he's not a good thrower. He runs too much, blah, 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 blah. Just let the man live. He took this team to the playoffs last year. He came in subbing out a guy who won a Super Bowl at the quarterback position with this very team and Joe Flacco that was struggling at the time. Lamar Jackson comes in, and what do? They go to the playoffs, right? But everyone looks at Lamar Jackson like he can't do this, he can't. Why are we focusing so much on what the man can't do or hasn't shown yet at this level? He just started last season. Let the man live and just enjoy what he's bringing to you. I mean, if you're a Ravens fan and he took you to the playoffs last year, you have to feel some level of confidence that that's going to happen again, right? The question you may have from a concern standpoint, and I get this part, he runs too much, so he's going to get hurt. Okay, fair question to ask for Coach Harbaugh. Are you running him too much? Now, he set a record last year for most rushes by NFL quarterback, right? And all the talk in Baltimore, like, we're going to chill on that a little bit. It's not going to be as much this year. But when he does run, look how exciting it is. It's production that the offense needs. So why are you tripping? Let the man live. If this is how he plays, this is how he plays. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt.
Raiders receiver Antonio Brown missed practice today.
He's upset about the helmet issue, but we've pretty much exhausted all avenues of relief. So from our perspective, it's time for him to be all in or all out. We got 89 guys busting their tail. We are really excited about where this franchise is going, and we hope AB is going to be a big part of it starting week 1 against Denver.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
Do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacid stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. So kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, usually ESPN News. For the next half hour, we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to call it like it is. We're going to be real on this show. You know how I roll. And nothing's changed. We can't, whether you're black, Latino, or any kind of minority in this nation, a nation where 66% of the population is white, we cannot repeatedly acknowledge and recognize that we are constantly toiling an uphill climb, and then forget that when it comes to knowing how to act. Antonio Brown was just given $30 million. If you're given $30 million, as I've repeatedly stated, part of the reason is because you're great. The other part of the reason is that You have led folks to believe you're trustworthy. We can trust that you're going to go about the business of performing the task that you're paid to perform with a level of diligence and commitment to excellence that garnered you that money. So when you're walking around talking about you ain't going to play, you ain't going to show up, you know what they doing? They going like this. You see why I don't hang with y'all? That's what they do. You see why we can't mess with y'all? And it has a collateral effect. It's going to affect you when they're negotiating a collective bargaining agreement. It is going to affect you when you talk about dudes coming down the pike that are prospective free agents. It's going to affect you. And if you don't believe it, just look down the list. You thought it was time. You thought T.O.'s career was over before it was over. You thought Des Bryant's career was over before it was over, or at least derailed. Your behavior is going to be monitored. Period. Now, let me get to a bigger issue. Because Eric Reid, the safety for the Carolina Panthers, most notably known for being a friend of Colin Kaepernick, taking a knee with him in support of Colin Kaepernick, who took a knee during the national anthem, not to dishonor our American soldiers, not to be unpatriotic. He took a knee to bring attention to racial oppression, racial inequality, and brutality on the part of police officers against unarmed black men, black people. Eric Reid supported him in that. That happened back in 2016. Colin Kaepernick hasn't had a job in the NFL since opting out of his contract with the San Francisco 49ers. And in the meantime, Eric Reid has taken issue with various things that have occurred. Malcolm Jenkins of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Players Coalition negotiated a deal with the NFL owners, got themselves $89 million to dedicate to disenfranchised communities throughout this country and black issues. Recidivism, incarceration, voter registration, voting rights, etc. Eric Reid had a problem with that. Not only did he have a problem with that, where does he take up his argument? He confronts Malcolm Jenkins on the football field, Lincoln Financial Field, in Philadelphia, before a game against the Carolina Panthers on a Sunday afternoon. Last time we used to joke about that with Chris Rock getting on Janet Jackson for pulling her stuff out on a Sunday afternoon. Now it's this dude. So that happened. And then now Jay-Z garners into a partnership, or basically gets into a partnership with the NFL, and Eric Reid has a problem with that, basically calling him a sellout. I undressed Eric Reid's position on that, and Eric Reid decided he wanted to come at me. So this weekend, a reporter asked him about me, and Eric Reid responded. Listen up.
Stephen A. Smith, when I first taken, was saying that the whole point of you guys doing this was to bring light to, racial oppression and whatnot. It wasn't about getting Colin. Well, he sacrificed his job, but it wasn't about getting Colin Kaepernick back in the NFL. It was about bringing light to this point, and that's what you guys have done. So he's saying, what is the problem with him going a different route because he's choosing not to go the route necessarily that you and Colin maybe have taken?
The order of events that happened, right? We were professional athletes first. Then we started protesting systemic oppression. Then Colin lost his job because of protesting for justice. Us fighting for Colin to get a job is returning him to the status quo of being an employee. We didn't advocate for him to lose his job along the way. I think it's ludicrous that somebody who, like Stephen A., who's been so closely reporting on this, would make a statement like that. It's asinine.
So he said that my statement was asinine and ludicrous, to quote him directly. First of all, let me say this. I'm not taking the bait that some of you ignorant trolls out there are trying to throw out. I have no issue with what Eric Reid said about me. I didn't even find it disrespectful. Eric Reid is entitled to find my statement ludicrous or asinine or any other word he wants to use. He didn't character assassinate me. He didn't talk about me as a man. He didn't talk about my character. He didn't do anything of the sort. He was responding to a direct question about what I said, and that's how he felt about what I said. Eric Reid is a grown damn man who, by the way, as a black man, I totally appreciate his position. He's out there in his mind fighting for us. And to be honest with you, I owe him a debt of gratitude for that. You willing to bring attention to racial oppression, racial inequality, police brutality? How the hell can I have a problem with that? So I don't have a problem with Eric Reid's position. I don't have a problem with his feelings. A matter of fact, and oh, by the way, I want to state for the record, you can't have a better friend than Eric Reid. For Colin Kaepernick to be in this position that he's in, there has been one man who has been unrelenting in his fight for justice for Colin Kaepernick, and that is Eric Reid. I mean, you talk about loving a brother and going down with the ship. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say anything about Eric Reid in that regard. I applaud the brother. I just disagree with his methods. Confronting Malcolm Jenkins on the field? Really? That's hooliganism. That's what that is. And then you come after Jay-Z. Now, let me tell you something right now. For those of you that don't understand my position, because I had to explain it to a dear friend of mine last night, let me be very, very clear. You can have a problem with the optics. Jay-Z sitting next to the commissioner, who's the spokesman for all 32 owners, who appear to have ostracized Colin Kaepernick from the league. You sitting there after condemning the NFL for their actions and supporting Colin Kaepernick, sitting there smiling and yucking it up with Roger Goodell is not the greatest look. Oh, by the way, Jay-Z, who's a strategist, a brilliant strategist, and a brilliant capitalist. You, Jay-Z, not having a plan in front of you to articulate and disseminate to the masses in that moment about exactly what your role is going to be and exactly what your intent is with that role, you are too smart not to have a plan to present to Americans and football fans everywhere at that particular moment in time. If that's your argument against Jay-Z, I have nothing to say. The problem is that wasn't your argument. What you did was question this man's blackness, his commitment to blackness and to black causes and to black people by attacking him the way that you did. And Jay-Z don't deserve that. He comes from the streets, comes from Marcy Projects, comes from the streets of Brooklyn, raised himself from rags to riches. And oh, by the way, has ingratiated himself with several issues, has been an activist as an artist in his own way. Oh, by the way, who's his wife? It's not just Beyonce, who's phenomenal and magnificent in almost every way you can imagine as a performer. She's also responsible as being associated with Coachella, who brought bands from all the HBCUs to perform. And she was the first black artist to lead Coachella, if I remember, headline Coachella, if I remember correctly. Oh, by the way, he's got friends like Steve Stout, who's a brilliant author and businessman, very closely connected to Commissioner Adam Silver of the National Basketball Association, and very highly respected, along with a plethora of other people. You saw when President Obama had a fundraiser, who was the one helping him raise millions? And oh, by the way, who was throwing events and campaign rallies and stuff like that for him? That would happen to be Jay-Z. So let's not forget all of this. And oh, by the way, having said all of that, Baltimore, Miami, Denver, and Seattle all were looking to give Colin Kaepernick a job after he took a knee and protested in 2016. And even though Eric Reid deserves respect for continuing and not relenting in his position at all and holding firm to his principles and still taking a knee, last time I checked, Eric Reid taking a check from the NFL as well. Oh, let me go a step further. In 2017, December 17th, 2017 to be exact, P. Diddy tweeted, quote, I would like to buy the Carolina Panthers. Spread the word. Retweet. Do you know who responded to that tweet, ladies and gentlemen, at that time? Colin Kaepernick. I have it right here in front of me. Do you know what the tweet said? I want in on the ownership group. Make it happen. So Colin Kaepernick can want ownership. And everything's fine. From the very, very people he filed a grievance against, got at least a $10 million settlement against, has been speaking adamantly against, but Jay-Z partnering with them. Oh my God, what a sellout. Really? Really? I didn't hear Eric Reid bring that up. I didn't hear that. And last but not least, I have something in front of me from a noted historian who's a phenomenal man and obviously a civil rights activist for many years, who's been a guest on this show on several occasions. I revered this man. His name is Dr. Harry Edwards. You know him. What did Dr. Harry Edwards tweet? Think about it. How did we get from struggle against injustice / supporting Cap to attacking Jay-Z? You're being had, took, maneuvered, rope-a-doped, played, clowned, swift-boated, gaslighted, bamboozled, chummed, chumped, jived, misled, and distracted. Back to the struggle. He goes on. Put another way, you can have a Jay-Z in that position or say a Hank Williams Jr. Don't just shut the door on Jay-Z when option could be a continuation of no door at all. Jay-Z is neither a fool nor a sycophant. Let's reach out, wait, and watch. Where'd y'all hear that from? Where did y'all hear that from? Who told y'all that? Just 4 days ago, and 3 days ago, and 2 days ago, and right now. You got a problem with me, Eric Reid? What you gonna say next? You got a problem with Dr. Harry Edwards too? You think your struggles of taking a knee are comparable to what that man has done for disenfranchised community throughout this nation since the 60s? I'll do you a favor by assuming you know better. Back with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show in a minute. The satisfying crunch of Nature Valley Crunchy Bars can keep your family going, which means more outside fun for you.